Olders don't want to be burdens. So I think that's really sticking in my brain. Olders don't wish to be burdens. This has come out loud and clear with the ethnography that we ran as we were designing our features of our company and our services. And I hear this loud and clear from my customers that I don't want to be a burden on my children, or I have a healthcare worker, but I don't want to burden them. They feel badly that they're asking for things. So I think that AI could definitely be a buddy in that sense, as in the form of companionship. And there are other tools out there, like there's another company in our space called Papa, and they have Papa Pals, and they actually hire people to go and just hang out with older people. And we get in the car, maybe we run an errand together. And the whole point of companionship, be it digital or be it human-based companionship, is that sense of community, because we're losing that sense of the intergenerational household or the intergenerational community that's interacting. So it's finding ways to simulate community, simulate that you have someone to check in on you.
You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast, brought to you by focus-biz.com.
Welcome back to another episode. With us today is the co-founder of Viva Valet, Jennifer Cain Birkmose. She is a person who helps early age and elders people find their way through new technology and AI. She's also had some experience at the Bill Gates Foundation and is introducing Improv into leadership and business development. So excited to have her on. Jennifer, how are you doing today?
Hi, Chris. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for bringing me onto your show today. I'm so happy to talk to you.
Of course, you have quite an extensive history and experience with a lot of different industries. So excited to chat more about your experience with them. Tell us more about your journey. What were you doing before that led you into what you're doing today?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I have been someone who has spent kind of a lifetime of gathering different tools for impact for people, patients, healthcare systems. And I've kind of used my career journey as a tool, or vocational choices as little levers to try to influence that. How can I help society, patients, healthcare systems best? So accordingly, I work for the World Health Organization. I worked in basic research. I worked in pharmaceutical research. I worked in pharmaceutical development as well, and commercialization, and had a long history in global health actually as well, and really trying to drive access to patients that need medicines most and need care most. So almost 4 years ago, my founder reached out to me and said, I have a problem. And I think you have the same one, which is you and I both live where we live, which is in Switzerland. She lives in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And she said, we both have aging parents or grandparents who are living really far away from us. And how are you figuring this out? How are you working this out? What are you doing to prepare for this? And at the time I was thinking, I'd lost my mother and my father was living alone. And I just don't know, because probably what I'm going to have to do is, if living here in Switzerland, I have to deal with a father who is ill. I'm probably going to have to get on a plane and fly across the ocean and be there for him while my family, my children, my career is sitting here. And for short periods of time can work for an emergency, for a crisis. And if it comes to a long-term illness that you have to manage or long-term support, it wasn't going to be sustainable. So my founder and I put our heads together and we said, hey, what would it look like if we could find tools for adult children like us and olders themselves, people who are in these older age groups, to this very fragmented market of what you might need to be able to live at home independently. So where can you find things that work? Where can you find good services, high quality, dependable, and most importantly, where do you find the most trustworthy services? So we put our heads together and we started to develop this, and we launched commercially now 21 months ago. So it's super exciting. We are commercially viable, and we are in Illinois as our first marketplace where we deliver these kinds of services for olders. Our company is called Viva Valet, and the kinds of services that we deliver are rides, food delivery. We do home safety assessments, and we do home modifications, so certified home modifications that are safe for olders, as well as cleaning services. And surprisingly, one of our top services now is in-home and community-based. So olders are coming to us and asking for support on, how do I set up maybe a network in my home, or how do I use my iPhone, Or how do I access my medical records or banking? So we're helping them get more and more familiar with how to use tech and more comfortable with tech.
Wow, that is so cool. And with my background with home care and hospice is that people who are aging, who are towards end of life, they want that feeling of home. That was about a big piece of the marketing and branding message. With us, your home. So that feeling of home, people want to stay home to make it more accessible for them to make that available and a viable option for them. It's a growing market and it's solving a huge need in the community.
Absolutely, Chris. Like what we know from research we've done directly with elders themselves, be it ethnography or be it like large quant studies, we know that 90% of elders want to live at home, just like you've already experienced. So we know they want to stay, they're happier there. They often don't have the ability to go somewhere else because it could be a financial obstacle as well, or maybe the infrastructure doesn't properly exist for what they need. So it's all about keeping them home and delaying the move as long as possible, or even delaying the move, keep them in the home that they've lived in for 20, 30, 40 years. And if they have to move, keep them at that level of living that they are. So if they move to independent living, maybe in a group home, keep them there as long as possible, because that's also a signature of independence and of their social status and ability to navigate relationships. This is probably also from the blue zones, having purpose, making sure that they have purpose, that they have direction, that they even have an intergenerational kind of experience is really important. So that's a huge part of what we're working on, is really keeping them purpose driven, independent.
Absolutely. And it's interesting and inspiring both to see technology and AI kind of being used for the betterment of people and specifically a generation where you would assume that many of them would have issues adapting to or wouldn't want to try new tech. But I feel as though they've been very open to learning new technology or at least getting some assistance and using that technology. So it's very exciting. What are you seeing with the trends with digital acceptance of your product as well?
I think one of the biggest surprises is how many of our customers are elders themselves who sign up alone. We always thought this would be for the adult children who are going to do all this and sweep in and fix it. And actually, it's quite the opposite, the elders who are driving those signups. So that's a huge surprise and delight for us because we get to serve them directly. I think another aspect is the myth elders can't do tech or elders can't navigate or aren't interested in tech. My experience with every single customer that I interact with is that is absolutely false. And what I learned is that they're absolutely hungry to learn. They're hungry to interact with tech. And in order to do that, they have to be taught. The way that tech is taught is it's either intuitive with small kind of flows that's in a user experience, or it's through community. And often elders don't have that. So whenever we do a community-based tech seminar or we show up at someone's house to do their own tech, they have long lists of questions. Teach me how to upload a photo. Teach me how to do FaceTime. Sometimes it's even teach me how to send text or what are the different texting platforms, those kinds of things. They're hungry for knowledge because it means participation in the rest of the world. And I think the other thing is people will have snide remarks to say, oh, does that mean you're just going to make it big? Like big text, great. It's more than that. So knowing that functionally, like I'm holding my phone right now, you and I might text with our thumbs like this, but an older will hold their phone like this and interact like this. So if you're going to interact with your own phone like this, you need to design the experience differently. And you need to have the icons more simplistic. You need to have the flow more intuitive, driven from a neuroscience perspective, different colors, because color acuity fades with age. So those kinds of things have really been important. I personally feel very proud that we've had a very enthusiastic group of elders themselves who have been co-designing a lot of the tech that we have. So we have a group of people between 70 and 93, who have been involved in UI UX, have been involved in beta testing, have been involved in assessing all of the features that we have, making sure that the flow is working and is intuitive. So give them an opportunity. They are hungry. You just have to be able to meet them on their terms.
Yes, absolutely. And it's no doubt that technology can shape a lot of organizations and people to do more. One example was working with the home care hospice for Meals on Wheels. We were able to save their program $30,000 a year just by creating more efficient routes by using technology and going from like an old paper fax system into a digital electronic system. So that was a big change for that organization. We're seeing generations now taking advantage of technology. And one thing that people asked about was AI, right? I had a colleague asked, how is AI going to either help or hurt our parents, our older generations? And I was thinking, okay, how could AI be used, both good or bad for that? One of the examples was, what if maybe scams happen often? What if AI could maybe monitor the phone call or the phone number type or the type of interactions to see, is someone uploading a gift card to send to a scammer or doing some sort of action that wouldn't be expected? So it's like, on one hand, how do you see AI being used for the benefit and some potential downsides where we need to be careful of?
Yeah, I have lots of answers to this. Interesting because we just did a LinkedIn Live today with other AI leaders in tech and health tech. And we were talking about in a world where AI ML is going to be the standard in healthcare and healthcare delivery, what do we need? What are some of the watch outs? And my plea was for these people who are engineers and who are really trying to help make partnerships within healthcare to make this function. My plea is when you're training your data sets on the ML or the machine learning aspect of AI, please include data sets with populations who are older. So, for example, in healthcare, we tend to trend towards data that's male because women only joined clinical trials in the 1990s globally, basically. So we've got a data set that historically has trended towards male, trended towards the global north and west as well. So we have a gap with women, but we also have a gap with people who are above the age of like 75. And we will have unprecedented numbers of octogenarians, 90-year-olds, centenarians, for example. We need to have data that's going to help healthcare professionals support their decision making because AI will be sort of a supportive augmentation of decision making in healthcare in every industry for that matter. So we need to have data that represents that population so healthcare professionals can get the best support in decision making to support those patients. I think that's one huge thing that is my cry for help whenever I'm in a data space with other folks that are working in AI/ML engineering. I think you mentioned this aspect of fraud, and I think where can AI help and or hurt? So we in our company are constantly watching out for the trends in AI scams, be they through phishing, be they through stolen voices. So when voices are stolen and grandma, could you please send me $10,000? I'm in jail. Those kinds of things are happening all around us, as well as texting. So I think it requires vigilance on the human side to really train what are those things to watch out for. So we constantly send out signals and updates to say, here are trends in email scams, here are trends in texting scams, here are trends in voice-driven scams, stolen AI voice-driven scams. So I think also just education. I think you and me both are susceptible to this, not only olders, but I think olders, because they may not have been sitting in an office where you and I might be working in a professional environment where we're constantly getting updates, or there's firewalls to catch these kinds of things or being trained. Olders aren't being trained these things. So I think we are really feeling vigilant about making sure those messages get out. I think the last one, which I really like this idea of having sort of AI attendant guardian software to watch out for, oh, a gift card is being uploaded or purchased, or some email has been sent to your inbox, which is demanding a lot of personal information to be put into that text to catch those. So I don't know if you've heard of, is it AI Grandma? Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't, but that'll be interesting.
Oh my gosh. You have to know about this because it's a tool in the UK where there's an AI grandma who will pick up a scan for scammers and will pick up the phone when scammers are calling. And the company behind this is all about trying to take up all the airtime for those AI scammers. So people who are calling to scam olders, their goal is to get them on the phone and keep them on the phone for as long as possible and go down that rabbit hole. So this AI grandmother's voice is like, oh, sweetheart, please explain that to me. Oh, I really do want to help you. I hear that you need money. I really do want to help you. Can you explain to me again? Because I'm so confused. So they'll just tie up the lines a little bit longer.
They're using weaponized incompetence here to take up all this time. Very clever, though. I love it. That concept has grown. There have been some popular YouTubers who mimic older people to keep them on a scam, but they're actually like white hat hackers. So they'll actually gain access to their systems and delete all the phone numbers and the systems that they're using to call out here. So it's very interesting to see AI being implemented in this way. But I also see another use case, potentially companionship, both independent living, but also I feel like older people feel a burden to text or call their friends or family members, feeling like they don't want to hear from them. Could AI maybe marriage that gap in between that or potentially expand upon that? But just some great ideas on how do we solve problems? I think that's the main foundation on how you create better systems.
I think there's something that you said in that, yes, AI can create better systems for this, for sure. And something that you said in this question, which was olders don't want to be burdens. So I think that's really sticking in my brain. Olders don't wish to be burdens. This has come out loud and clear with the ethnography that we ran as we were designing our features of our company and our services. And I hear this loud and clear from my customers that I don't want to be a burden on my children, or I have a healthcare worker, but I don't want to burden them. They feel badly that they're asking for things. So I think that AI could definitely be a buddy in that sense, as in the form of companionship. And there are other tools out there, like there's another company in our space called Papa, and they have Papa Pals, and they actually hire people to go and just hang out with older people. And we get in the car, maybe we run an errand together. And the whole point of companionship, be it digital or be it human-based companionship, is that sense of community, because we're losing that sense of the intergenerational household or the intergenerational community that's interacting. So it's finding ways to simulate community, simulate that you have someone to check in on you. You mentioned lowering costs when you talked about the digital optimization of routes and last mile logistics in the delivery of food. I think when we talk about finding ways to optimize how we interact as well, is also helping us potentially feel like we're part of a community and lower healthcare costs. So someone who is less lonely, who feels like they have purpose and feels like there's someone that they can call and be heard, they often are utilizing less healthcare, they're having fewer accidents, and ultimately they're costing the healthcare system, like the Medicare system, they're costing them less, which is great. It's a proxy for living well. It's a proxy for I'm healthier and I'm more independent and I'm more integrated. So we're all for all of those things. Absolutely.
Yes, totally agree. Now, the question that I had for you is considering the sense of community, I feel like since post-COVID, this was a traumatic event for a lot of us, and we're still readjusting to what a normal life or a new normal life could look like. How do we get back to this sense of community in a digital age in a post-COVID era?
Oh, Chris, how much time do we have here? 2 weeks?
I know, right? Yeah, please lay it all out.
Let me ask ChatGPT. Speaking of AI/ML, right? How do we get back to a normal sense of community? This is a really hard question, and there's a lot of different directions to take this. I think one of them is simply rediscovering human to human connection. I think we've lost that. I think in the younger generations, for sure, we have lost that sense of going out, touch grass. I guess that's what the kids say now. Go out and touch grass. Like, are you out in the external environment? Are you actually meeting people? I say that specifically starting with us as those who are under 70. Let's just put us like that. We'll divide us. We don't need to go into the finite details of who's Gen Y or Gen Z or whatever. It's just the younger folks. We became accustomed to living our life fully digitally. We became accustomed to even having rewarding social interactions digitally. And I think we often cut off the joy and the multi-generational evolutionary trend that we had to live in communities and interact in communities. So I think that is broken in general. So we have like this idea of the multi-generational household. It's so unusual now that you see people who are 70 living with someone who's 10 years old, grandchildren, even great grandchildren. We just don't have that. And I think the real question is, these are populations all over the world where people live up to 100 years old. And a lot of researchers are trying to understand what's the secret sauce, right? So why? Is it diet? Is it exercise? Is it something in the water? Is it something in the air? And it's a little bit of all of that. And the number one most important thing is that these people are socially active, integrated, and they have some form of purpose. So there's an intergenerational thing. I have purpose because I am independently living, or I have a hobby, or I have some form of work, or I'm still engaged in something where I feel valued on a daily basis and I feel seen. And they have high quality social connections. There is some form of exercise and usually some form of healthier diet. If there's alcohol consumption, it may happen, but it may happen in less qualities as well. So if you know there's one in Italy, there's one in California, there's one in Central America, Costa Rica, Japan. I'm missing Greece. There's another one I'm missing. But I think this is very long-winded answers. But I think this is like number one. We have to find a way to have better interactions with each other and multi-generationally. How do we find ways to relate quickly with, how do we build rapport quickly? How do we then make those connections that make people want to stay in them? My secret weapon that I personally use to do is sort of a undercover like superpower is that I am a professional improv comedian on top of all the other things that I do. So global health advocate, diplomat, entrepreneur, healthcare executive, and underneath all of that is the fact that I trained at Second City, which I'm so proud of, and it was great training. Interestingly, a lot of it was online. So if you can make these types of connections, improvise sketches, write sketches, perform them online, and then get ready to perform them on a Second City main stage, you can create rapport anywhere in the world. If you can do it through this little square that we're living in right here, we can do it anywhere. So I have discovered that when I'm teaching improv or when I'm performing it, or even when I'm doing it in corporate environments, it is the single most efficient way to create that type of interaction where people connect well, they connect quickly, and they feel comfortable with each other. It creates a sense of psychological safety. There's levity in the laughter, and there's a sense of belonging. And I feel very confident about that as a person who runs an improv school and has taught people in every age group. So from the 5 to 10-year-olds, the teenagers, the 20-somethings, the midlife folks. And my oldest student I've ever had was 99. I just had her as a student a month ago. And with a assisted living facility where I had 15 people who were between the ages of 75 and 99. And Chris, to watch the experience of using these tools to basically just have a good time, laugh, warm up, create some levity. I saw each of those people really anti-age in front of me or reverse age in front of me. They all seemed taller. Their faces looked younger. Their eyes were brighter. They were more focused. People who had clearly like dementia were more focused and able to be in the moment and be able to interact. And they were able to open up to each other, which was a huge surprise. Ways that they hadn't been emotionally vulnerable before, but share personal things. And then as a result, after the class, I watched them, and these people, first of all, it was hilarious because it ended abruptly because there was a fire alarm that went off, and I was like, great, it's over now. that was a rather abrupt ending to a very meaningful afternoon. They all came back and sat and spoke to each other for 2 hours. If there's any way that we could put that essence of improv in a bottle to get people to form relationships, to help strengthen communities, that's it. And as an entrepreneur, do I teach my service providers, my customer service agents, my company? Do we use these tools every day? Yes, we do. I love it. I think it's one of those things that will help businesses. But exactly to your original question, like how do we start to build these communities and help us get over this digital isolation and prolonged isolation from COVID? This is one of those ways that we can really short circuit that connection.
I love it. It's a great idea. Now, where can people find out more about you and get connected with you online?
Okay, thanks again. So if you want to reach out to me personally, you can find me on LinkedIn, Jennifer Cain Birkmose. You can also find me and my company, Viva Valet, on LinkedIn, as well as Instagram. We're very active there. Viva Valet Official is our Instagram handle. you want to find me personally, it's JCBIRK on Instagram. Dear listeners, if you are compelled to learn more about what it's like to be a caregiver or what it's like to support your elders, we actually put out weekly content, or actually more frequently than weekly content, that is actionable, short little pieces of information that gives you a bite-sized action that you can take today to support your caregiving journey, to support your older. So we're talking about digital support. Last Friday, it was about how to support an older to spot fishing, and we're working with olders to do that. We're talking about how to support olders when they're taking medicines, and what are food interactions that might harm some of the medications they're taking. So you find these every week. If that's helpful for you and you want to learn something and you want to join our community, please jump in. We're so happy to see you there.
Excellent. And we'll have those links available down in the show notes and the description for everyone to get connected. Now, Jennifer, wanted to ask one last question here. What are you excited for most in 2025? Are you building up something new and exciting? Or are you kind of running with the same thing you've been doing? You have a lot on your plate, so I wouldn't be surprised if you just took some time off.
So in 2025, Viva Valet is expanding nationwide with our concierge service that enables customers to tap into these services on a rapid basis. We're going to be able to help a lot more people than only are in the home market that we have, our original market. So I'm thrilled about that. We're also launching an app, which is going to support olders to be able to track their symptoms so they can have a more high quality interaction with their healthcare provider. And we actually just won an award at Healthcare 2.0 in Las Vegas last month for this new app. So it's really exciting that already we're getting picked up in the healthcare community about this. Personally, I'm doing my first triathlon in August, and I'm really excited about that. And I am kind of living, breathing musical theater. Every chance my daughter and I, we are going to see West End, Broadway, traveling musicals. We are having a year where we eat art every single day, and it is delicious. So that's what I'm
I,
excited for in
I
2025.
I love that. It sounds like a nice blend of both productivity on the business side, a lot of growth, doing things that bring value to your life. Jennifer, appreciate your time and coming onto our podcast. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris.